Simcha, celebration, Simcha, Simcha, celebration of life.
Hi from me, Jared Epstein, and welcome to another episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. Cape Town-born Yehuda Lazarus has always felt that tikkun olam, or repairing the world, is an important part of his Jewish world perspective, and that there are so many different ways that we can all give back. Yehuda talks to us about how his journey eventually led to establishing Fingertips of Africa in March of this year.
I grew up in Milnerton. My father was the rabbi there for about 25 odd years. And I'm one of 12 kids, 11 boys and a girl. There's nothing like a big family. When you're born in it, you don't understand what a small family means. To you, it's the same as having 3 people in a household or 2 people. There's just so much more love going around and so much more chaos happening around you. For me, my childhood was incredible. There was a lot of joy and a lot of fun and a lot of screaming and a lot of fighting. But overall, I mean, we're a crazy, fun family who just has a lot of love for one another. I was a religious child going to religious and non-religious environments, and I went to Herzliya, as the rabbi's child. That was a different experience, obviously. But the amazing part is that it kind of guides you to where you are as an adult, understanding the different types of backgrounds that you come from. And my household was a loving and open household. Anybody was welcome and anybody had the option to come and get assistance if they needed. And we never had money and we weren't a wealthy family in the slightest, but we had love and we had tolerance. So for me, my childhood was so fundamental as to where I am today as an adult. And I love that history and heritage that I come from and how it ties into that childhood part. Fingertips of Africa unofficially began 10 years ago through doing different types of events and very small minor things, and then when lockdown happened and it came time to realizing that we have the ability to actually make a phenomenal change, we just branched to so many different people to assist us. And it was incredible that we didn't have to take a financial assistance from people. We got to just use their own expertise, and we created something really phenomenal. We went from being just a minor league player when it comes to charity and giving to really being someone and something that is making a mark on the society. And at the moment, we've done over 500,000 meals. We've done more than 6,500 hampers, from the wheelchairs to helping people, pay for funerals, to starting a sewing academy and allowing ladies to learn a skill. And we are making blankets and we are providing those blankets, and selling them. But the profit that comes back from those blankets goes straight back to the ladies that are sitting there and not just earning a salary, but also learning a skill that they can take into their life afterwards. So the Fingertips has kind of now branched into how do we become a sustainable future and how do we assist the communities around us at being sustainable and being able to give back to themselves so that we don't have to always be asking financially. We can actually empower people to be able to look in their own communities and see how they can make a financial and a overall impact. And that's what we've really seen so far. So I think for me, community is everything. And, being someone who grew up religious and isn't anymore, and on my own journey in life, I had to reassess what my community is. And for me, community is everyone and everything around us, that, everybody needs something, and how can we assist? We've been able to help Muslim families. We've been able to help Jewish families, been able to help Christian families. It doesn't have to have a religious bearing when it comes to giving. It's a matter of who needs our help, what do they need, and how can we help them? And that each need may be so different, from cooked hampers to raw hampers, to soup kitchens. Each group and each dynamic is different. But if you just stop and assess them and understand what they need, you know, it's a matter of opening up and listening. You can actually make a huge difference in all communities. We are working towards an overall goal to end hunger. And that is something that, you know, we take very serious to us, you know, and to figure out how we can be part of this global change to end hunger. There's so many phenomenal organizations out there. And I think that all of us together are really on a path to finding a way to minimize the burden on our fellow, you know, human beings around us. So at the end of the day, we all have a phenomenal way that we can assist and find our own sense of what tikkun olam, what it means to repair the world, to give to the world, you know, to honor the world around us. We all have that ability, and there's an innate ability in us of how to give to people. And then don't forget that at the end of the day, you're helping yourself, you're growing yourself, you're teaching yourself. And that's an incredible thing that we all have in us. And, you know, and that's why I'm so proud of my heritage. I'm so proud to have been brought up in a religious Jewish background. And I'm so proud to be, you know, a young gay male in today's society, you know, who may not be religious, but still identifies very firmly that I come from an incredible background. And that background has taught me that there's so many different organizations and that there's so many different, you know, types of individuals out there and so many different types of religions, and that we need to learn to tolerate, to love everybody and to assist everybody where we can, that we all have an amazing way to give. We've just got to tap into ourselves and find that way to give and see what that is that we give.
Sense of community is an important pillar of the Jewish worldview. One part of that is why so many Jewish children attend summer camps, also known as machaneh. As they grow older, many miss that sense of adventure. Camp NaiNaiNai changed all that with a Jewish summer camp for young adults.
Camp NaiNaiNai was created because Moshe House is always looking for new, innovative ways to engage Jewish young adults with the broader Jewish community. There had been a trend of summer camp style experiences, not in the Jewish world, just in, you know, pop culture, that were approaching this idea of nostalgia and reliving your youth and being silly. And we just recognized that this was a wonderful format and model for us to engage Jewish young adults with the community. NaiNaiNai comes from this style of singing called nihunim, sing a nigun, which is without words. And it's often done as part of the Havdalah ceremony, which is the closing ceremony of Shabbat, the holy day. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to know the words. You can just hum along and sing along and sing nai, 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 and it just keeps going. And that was the spirit that we were after. We wanted people to feel like they can belong and be part of the greater community, whether they know the words or they don't know the words, or they make up their own words as we go along, and that it's all good. The goal of Camp NaiNaiNai is to offer a place where Jewish young adults can be themselves, connect with other Jewish young adults, connect with their Judaism in a new way, and enjoy being a Jewish young adult for all the things that entails. And, you know, when you're at camp, you have the opportunity to, you know, whether you decide to do bubble soccer or Israeli dancing or zip lining or discussing the, you know, a midrash through, you know, painting, you know, whatever the case might be, the idea is that we want everyone to find a place for themselves in this broader Jewish community. Not just with us, but really in the world, to have a sense of belonging and to have a sense of joy, and to know that it's okay to be Jewish however you are. We're putting together a camp program. Step one is bringing in incredible Jewish educators, and we have the privilege of bringing in Jewish educators from all over North America. sometimes outside of North America, but typically within North America. And it's Jewish educators who have a specialty in a particular area. So it's Jewish education through art or through science or through music or through dance. And so, with this baseline of outstanding educators, it gives us the grounding to create a really solid Jewish experiential program that goes already outside of what is the typical experience of Judaism.
My role is helping with all the logistical back-end work, making sure everybody's registered, making sure everybody's bunks and things like that are all going to to plan. I went to camp when I was in high school, and, it was always such a special place for me because it just felt like the place that I felt the most at home. Because I grew up in a very not Jewish area. People were like, what is Jewish? And so I definitely needed that kind of stronger Jewish connection in my life. And I definitely got that at camp. So I was super excited to bring that to the young adult, age demographic. At the point in March when we went into lockdown was about the time that our registration for the first camp had just opened. I was already in contact with a lot of campers about getting things straightened out for their camp experience in May. And so we knew that we wanted to give people something else, something, whether it was a program, we really didn't know what it was at the time when we canceled camp, but we knew that we wanted to give our people, our campers, because obviously we felt so we felt for our people and we wanted to create something super, super epic for them. And that's how Expedition Nai kind of came to fruition.
Are you stuck at home staring out the window? Then you need to come join us at Expedition Nai.
This jam-packed action-adventure has everything.
Expedition Nai is essentially a 4-week program challenge game that we created where challenges are released every single week. So there's 4 weeks of challenges. And so we had a few challenge categories that were more specific. So we had starting line challenges, finish line challenges, and then the Lagba Omer challenges, and then also Moichas exclusive challenges. So those 4 categories weren't necessarily for the entirety of the game. They just kind of were for specific times. So this Lagba Omer was specifically towards the holiday Lagba Omer. So it was something like counting the Omer or putting a number in count 49 forks or something like that, doing something fun for the Omer, or building an alternative bonfire. And then Moichas exclusives were more geared towards residents and hosts, getting on the Global Voices calls or different MHWOW or near far wherever you are programs, things like that. People coming together with teams of people that they knew, camp friends that they knew, non-camp friends that they knew, or even people that they didn't know at all, coming together to complete these challenges for weekly prizes where we chose the best of super fun challenges, or just for the prizes and the points at the end. What Expedition Nai gave is, it did give those things remember to do a face mask, remember to light Shabbat candles, or, remember to call your grandma, do something nice. Doing all of those things and having just that creative energy energizes you. And when you're energized, when you're kind of happier, when you're more excited about things, it inherently affects the people around you. So really the biggest goal through all of the challenges in whatever way that they were played and were, done, is that we were able to just bring happiness and a smile to so many people who then could go and give those to other people, which was super exciting.
Hi kids, it's Elmo. Today we're gonna learn our ABCs.
we had no plans of doing virtual programming of any kind until all of this happened. And there's no doubt that we will continue doing virtual programming of various kinds well past COVID, because once you open that lid, there's no putting it back in the box, because now that we're exploring all of these possibilities, we're not just going to throw them away, after we go back to somewhat normal life. So hopefully within the next few months, landing on a few great options that we will continue running and working on, well beyond COVID.
We are almost at the end of our Prayer and Connections series with Sara Evian, but it's not over just yet. Today, Sara takes us through the role of song in prayer.
This section of prayer takes us into the Ruach level of our soul. And the Ruach section is our emotional section. And it really is about opening our hearts to feel love and joy. And in fact, these prayers in the prayer book are called the Pesukas de Zimre, the praises of song. And song is very important because song opens our heart. It opens our lungs because our breath is more intense. And song is a way of expanding our state of being. And the sages teach us that actually the Torah was given in song. It says that God spoke the words, but the deeper meaning of it is that God actually sung the world into being. And that's such a beautiful thought, that everything in the world has its own song. In fact, there's a deep book called Perek Shira, which means that every creation has its own song to sing, and every human being has their own unique song to sing in the world. And what we are needing to be doing in this world is to find our unique song and sing it, so that each of us becomes our own instrument in the orchestra of creation. And when we are all singing our song in harmony, that is really when the whole universe is pulsating with joy and gladness and gratitude and appreciation. And that is, I suppose, what we all long for in some way. So the word Shira in Hebrew has a numerical value if you add up the numerical value of each of the letters, because Hebrew, there are 22 letters and each letter has a numerical value. And so the numerical value of Shira is 515. And what's amazing is that it's exactly the same value as the word for prayer, tefillah. Prayer and song have the same source on high. They come from the same place. And so we learn from this that prayer is supposed to be sung. And it's very important before prayer or in prayer to find a song, to find a tune that you love, because that actually lifts, it's like the wings of your prayer that actually allow them to elevate higher. And another amazing thing about a song is that the Hebrew word koach hashir, which means the power of song, has a numerical value of 543, which is exactly the same value as when Moses was standing at the burning bush. And he says to Hashem, "Who are you? What is your name?" And God says to Moses, I will be that which I will be. Eheyeh Asher Eheyeh, which is the most condensed name of Hashem in a way. I will be what I will be. And that has the same numerical value as the power of song. And so finding one's own song is what reveals our true identity. It is a vibration of who we are, and we need to keep tuning ourselves to this vibration. And in a sense, this is what prayer does for us and allows us to become. So the prayer for this section of Ruach, I've chosen two prayers. The first one is called Baruch Shehamar, which is speaking the world into existence. And it's a beautiful prayer because it mentions the word Baruch 13 times. Baruch means, it comes from the word barech, which means a spring, and we are calling forth from the abundant, infinite spring above to come down and wash us with love. And why love? Because Baruch is mentioned 13 times, and the word ahava, which is love, has a numerical value of 13. Baruch is mentioned 13 times, and echad, one, also has a numerical value of 13. So 13 is very important for this prayer, and this 13 mentions of Baruch actually encompass this flowing over of goodness and abundance and blessing. And so we begin the songs, the praises of songs, with this Baruch 13 times. It's really a beautiful prayer. This correspondence of ahava, love, and echad, one, demonstrates that my routine state of individuation is not separate from the all. Rather, the all is expressed through and dwells within it. And then I thought I would mention the Ashrei prayer. And the Ashrei prayer is Psalm 145. It's a beautiful prayer, but there's one line that's very important, and the sages tell us that when we say this line, Poteach et yadecha, which means open your hands, we sit in a pose of openness. We actually sit with our hands open to receive, because our hands are our externality. And while we say to Hashem, to the divine, open your hand and fulfill the desire of every living thing, we are actually making a space for blessing to fall down. Because we learn, there was that story about the Chinese monk who was pouring water into his disciples' cup and it kept on overflowing. In order to receive our blessings, we need to be open and humble and have an open space. So when we say this, Poteach et yadecha, we are aware of opening a space so that we are able to receive the blessings from above.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us a Facebook message at Spirit Sister Productions. From me, Jared Epstein, and the Simcha team, remember, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give.